Beneath these waters, great schools are stalked by powerful predators. And strange creatures gather to perform bizarre rituals. This is the amazing undersea world of Cocos Island, the mountain in the sea. Then, join the team of divers and cinematographers as they travel the world's oceans, capturing the secrets of the ocean realm on film.
Funding for Secrets of the Ocean Realm was made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and viewers like you.
There is an oasis in the sea, Cocos Island, 300 miles off the west coast of Costa Rica. A lone mountain thrust from the ocean floor, Cocos is a shallow water sanctuary in the vast expanse of the deep. Here, like nowhere else on Earth, great fishes gather in a spectacle of staggering abundance. Cocos Island is a mountain surrounded by legions of swimming predators. Here, great schools of skipjack tuna shimmer in the blue light. Big-eyed jacks rise along undersea escarpments, followed by fast-moving schools of yellowfin tuna. However, among these predators, hammerhead sharks reign supreme. Thousands circle this tiny island, filling the watery sky as they pass in regal, silent parade. It is not completely clear why these sharks school in such number, but when they approach the reef, it is often to meet with this tiny fish. It's called a barberfish. Barberfish are cleaners. They specialize in the care and treatment of hammerhead sharks. Swimming slowly along the reef, a hammerhead attracts the attention of the barberfish, which gather around to bite off parasites and bits of diseased tissue. In exchange for this service, the hammerhead resists the urge to eat a barberfish or two. King angelfish will also serve as cleaners, and this one fearlessly joins the operation. Certainly, the angelfish seems to be tempting fate. But this strange alliance is seldom violated, and cleaners are rarely eaten by their clients. This pair of rainbow runners are also requesting the service of cleaners. The open mouth and heads-up posture is a signal to the barberfish that the rainbow runner wishes to be cleaned. This undersea oasis is nourished by powerful currents that rage past the tiny island. Deep submarine rivers of cold water often surge up the slopes of this undersea mountain and bathe these tropical reefs with nutrients. And when that happens, temperatures may drop 25 degrees. The waters blur as warm temperatures mix with cold, and fish move in and out of view like phantoms in a dreamscape. High in the water, hammerheads ride these currents like birds of prey on a mountain wind. Below on the reef, a pair of frogfish are courting. This lovely face belongs to the female. She's loaded with eggs. The little one on the left is the male. Frogfish avoid attracting attention by looking like sponges. They move slowly, walking about on fins shaped like feet. The male courts the female with this passionate mating dance. Certainly, a grunt and a wiggle are exquisitely subtle. Eventually, the female does get the message, but she'll wait to release her eggs after the sun sets, when predators can't see them. Not far away, lobsters move over the reef searching for food. There are enormous numbers of lobsters around Cocos Island, and all of them seem to be hungry just about all of the time. This one is making a meal of a cushioned sea star. It's rather like dining on an old leather shoe, but a hungry lobster will eat almost anything. This sea urchin is a more challenging prey. It's nice and soft inside, but first there's the little matter of getting through those wildly waving venomous spines. The lobster handles the urchin with care, while systematically breaking off spines to reach the urchin's body. At the base of the reef is a vast sand plain. Here, snake eels patrol for hidden prey. This fish in a snake's clothing methodically searches the sand for crustaceans and other small animals. And when it's time to rest or hide from larger predators, the eel finds a soft spot with its head, then slides in backwards. After all, going head first could be rough on an eel's complexion. Nearby is a condominium for tube blennies. These irascible little fish do not make friendly neighbors. A tube blenny is never satisfied with his home and will steal his neighbor's tube given any opportunity. And so they bicker constantly. Fortunately for them, with heads the size of pencil erasers, these quarrelsome little creatures are small enough to be ignored by most other citizens of these waters. On another rock, a male sailfin blenny resides peacefully in his little burrow. He is more civilized than his neighbors. He would rather make love than war. This is his invitation to any females that may be watching. Across the way, a pair of female sailfin blennies are too angry with each other to be interested in the strutting of a sexy male. As they get really mad, their red eyes change to angry white. And to sailfin blennies, white eyes mean watch out. These arguments are surprisingly non-violent. Even though there's a lot of huffing, puffing, and posturing, the fish seldom bite, and no one actually gets hurt. Rocks are rare on the flats. Where one is found, it is often home to a community of animals. A moray eel is sharing this rock with a swarm of cardinal fish. At the base of the rock, a goatfish searches beneath the rubble. It uses the long, sensitive barbels beneath its chin to probe for worms, crabs, and other hidden prey. On top of the rock, a hermit crab is methodically breaking off and eating bits of algae. Because hermits live in shells abandoned by other animals, they spend a lot of time wandering around looking for bigger and better homes. Here's a shell that would do nicely. Unfortunately, it's already taken, and the owner seems unwilling to give it up. He'll have to keep looking. Now there's a shell worthy of attention. Moving is an important decision. First, the new shell must be carefully inspected. It's larger and unoccupied, so the switch is made. Home, be it ever so humble. Above the rubble field and on the sides of the mountain, the legions are gathering. Big-eye jacks form schools that revolve like living tornadoes. Clouds of fish spin and swirl by the thousands, blocking out the sun. In shallow water, schools of grunts blanket the reef in kaleidoscopic color. Below, groups of red soldier fish hover near the shelter of the reef. Swarms of surgeonfish vacuum patches of dead coral, harvesting tiny blades of algae. And always, the watery sky above is filled with the mysterious gathering of hammerheads. The hammerheads don't often eat the reef fish. These sharks probably feed at night in the deeper waters beyond the mountain. Like an alien spaceship, a manta ray glides over the reef. These giant rays use long head flaps to herd small fishes and plankton into their mouths. Other schools are gathering at the base of the mountain. Large marbled stingrays are swarming over the rocks. And all of them are males. Well, almost all of them. At the center of attention is one large female, lying next to a rock. Eventually, she tires of being the object of constant admiration and heads out over the sand. Unfortunately, some gentlemen just won't take no for an answer, proving that in nature, if there's a chance to get lucky, hope springs eternal. It's late afternoon, and white-tip reef sharks have gathered next to the reef to rest, like sunbathers on a crowded beach. Like most sharks, white-tips do not have to constantly swim in order to breathe. They have no problem pumping water over their gills. But there's another reason white-tips come here. It's home to cleaner gobies. They scour the shark in search of tiny parasites or bits of damaged tissue, often a ticklish process. Throughout the world, many marine animals seem to enjoy the attentions of cleaner fish. Strangely, this is a process that is probably not necessary for the survival of either host or cleaner, but both animals seem to benefit from the relationship. The cleaner gobies seem determined to find some delectable tidbit in the shark's nostrils. The shark even opens its mouth, inviting the boldest gobies to enter and clean its delicate gills. But as night begins to fall, the shark leaves to join the great schools gathering at the edge of the reef. Here, Shrouded by descending twilight, predators set out to hunt alone in the vast void of the deep. But come morning, they will return once again to this shallow water sanctuary, this mountain in the sea. Photographing the awesome beauty of the underwater world is the job of Howard Hall. His camera has recorded images of marine creatures doing amazing and surprising things, behaviors often never before captured on film. Howard and his crew spent 2 years traveling the world's oceans, capturing scenes for Secrets of the Ocean Realm. 2 years filled with adventure and discovery. This is a story of natural history filmmaking, a behind-the-scenes tour with an underwater film crew as they traveled the world's oceans, filming secrets. The motor vessel Conception at anchor in the California Channel Islands National Park. Cameraman Howard Hall and Bob Cranston are dressing for work.
Head up.
They will be joined underwater by assistant cameraman Mark Conlon and series producer Michelle Hall. Howard and Bob will dive wearing space-age life support systems called rebreathers, which are capable of extending dives to as long as 12 hours. Underwater film work is a team effort, often requiring bulky cameras, heavy tripods, and powerful movie lights. The crew descends to a small outcropping of rock 60 feet below the surface and begins setting up for a day's work. The warm colors of the spectrum are absorbed as sunlight passes through seawater, so artificial light is used to bring out color in images that otherwise would appear only as various shades of blue. The object of all this attention is a small fish called a sarcastic fringehead. Actually, there are 2 male fringeheads living on this rock, but that's one too many. Howard anticipates a fight and is hoping to catch the action on film. Now it's just a matter of watching and waiting. But after several days of work and many hours underwater, the film crew is rewarded with this: the threat display of the sarcastic fringehead. Filming these kinds of animal behaviors is possible in part due to the special diving equipment Howard and Bob wear. The rebreathers are experimental prototypes originally built for the U.S. military and allow the divers to descend deeper and stay longer than ever before. Howard and Bob are the first to apply this technology to wildlife film work.
With this piece of gear, we can go down to 70 feet, where normally you can only stay about 40 minutes, and we could stay for 4 hours at a time. We could stay all day if we wanted to, and then at the end of 4 hours, we didn't have to do decompression. We could come up and have a bite to eat and go right back down for 4 hours.
But being able to stay underwater all day has its disadvantages.
And then we realized what we were missing out on was all that surface interval time where normally we'd have a hamburger, have a Coke, read a magazine, get a little sun. Now with the rebreather, we had no excuse for not working all the time.
In the Sea of Cortez, Howard and Bob use rebreathers to film schooling hammerhead sharks. Hammerheads flee at the sound of scuba bubbles, and the divers hope that silent, bubble-free rebreathers will allow them to enter the schools and perhaps discover the reason for the schooling behavior. Resting on a rocky plateau 130 feet below the surface, the divers are soon rewarded with a spectacular scene. Hundreds of hammerhead sharks approach. It's the largest school Howard has ever seen. Movie camera is rolling as sharks pass close overhead, seemingly unaware of his presence. Above, the watery sky fills with hammerhead sharks. But the biggest surprise was yet to come.
I was filming, looking one way, and I turned around to look at Bob, and I saw two sharks falling out of the sky, and falling very fast. Sharks are very heavy, and these were 12-foot long animals, and they looked like they were going to about land on Bob's head.
The sharks were mating. It was the first time anyone had ever witnessed this behavior. Capturing unusual marine life behavior was the primary goal of the Secret's film crew. On the Bahamas banks, the divers turned their cameras on bottlenose dolphins, feeding on fish buried in the sand. Amazingly, the dolphins' echolocation can detect fish hiding several inches beneath the surface. Then, as Howard's camera rolls, a dolphin does something he's never seen before. Using jets of water forced from his mouth, the dolphin digs deep into the sand in pursuit of small fish. This surprising behavior was only recently discovered and has seldom been photographed. The divers even watch as a female dolphin teaches her calf the technique.
And it seemed that she was teaching the calf how to do this. She'd get her nose down in there and dig around and somehow puff the sand out, obviously going after that fish. And the baby was there also watching, and it was just great behavior. You could even see the dolphin as it would come up out of the sand sometimes with the fish at the end of its rostrum and eat it as it swam away.
Off the coast of California, the film crew's cameras capture an even rarer scene, the feeding behavior of a California gray whale. Gray whales also feed by digging in the sand, but the behavior had been rarely witnessed and even more rarely filmed. The whale feeds by rolling on its side to suck in huge quantities of silt and mud. Then, using comb-like baleen, it filters out a variety of shrimp-like crustaceans. Howard and Bob move in with their cameras. Bob captures the behavior with his still camera as the whale searches the bottom for food. Howard hovers above, recording the scene on film. The whale continues to feed, seemingly undisturbed by the divers. The images are remarkable, providing a rare record of a behavior seldom seen. The winter coast of Patagonia. Here, Howard and Bob hope to film one of the most elusive species of great whales. These waters are the winter refuge of the southern right whale. And it is here that the divers will have the experience of a lifetime. Howard descends first. He is joined by cameraman Marty Snyderman and Bob Cranston. It is a waste of effort for divers to attempt pursuing a whale underwater. The film crew's best hope is that the whale becomes curious and comes to the divers. Not only does this young right whale become curious, but it begins to follow the divers everywhere they go. It seems especially happy to be scratched just above the eye.
Look in its eye and see the little parasites around its head and around its eye, and reach out and scratch it. And it's looking back at you. And it sees you, and you see it, and there's a feeling that goes between you and this animal, which is an intelligent animal. And you can tell it's intelligent.
These are rare and special moments when the discomforts of frigid waters and aching muscles are totally forgotten.
It's a tough job because the water is 45 degrees and the wind's blowing off Antarctica at 25 knots and you're freezing to death, but you're so excited that you're just loving this job.
His camera out of film, Howard also takes a moment to befriend a creature few others will ever know. The tropical Caribbean was the location for the film crew's most spectacular encounter with leviathans. Here, soaring over the coral reef, the divers find humpback whales. Again, the encounter is only possible because the whales are just as interested in the divers as the divers are in the whales. Feet below the surface, Howard trains his camera on humpback whales that soar past the reef. Bob moves out of the way as a pair of leviathans glide through a coral canyon. Curious, a whale reaches out gently with its enormous pectoral fin and nearly touches Howard's camera. Michelle, following on the surface, witnesses the remarkable scene unfolding below.
The water was clear and blue and warm, and these big animals were swimming around me, and it was just great. And I could see Howard and Bob down there. They were looked like they were getting the shots. And then a third humpback came in, and it was wonderful.
From below, Michelle looks like a flying insect hovering between the two great beasts. Some of the film crew's most amazing encounters have been with much smaller creatures. This jellyfish is a variety the film crew has never seen before. And traveling with the jellyfish are animals just as unique.
So we took the footage and we sent it off to some jellyfish experts, and they immediately called back and said, you know, we've been through all of our texts, we've never seen this before. We're pretty sure it's a new species to science, and it's something that no one has ever seen before. And so every once in a while you luck out and, you know, you get to be an explorer, and that to me is the best part of the job.
Not only is the jellyfish a new species, but traveling with it are animals doing some very bizarre things. Just what this crab is doing with the strange tassels on its rear legs is a mystery. The footage is unique, and the behavior remains completely unexplained. Capturing the strange behaviors of small animals may be what Howard does best. And the ocean seems to contain an inexhaustible supply of subjects. In the ocean, even the most unusual creatures can be surprisingly friendly. A wolf eel looks terrifying, but to Michelle, it's as cute and as lovable as a puppy. It's easy for Michelle to find beauty in the faces of creatures even as frightful as the wolf eel. But being a still photographer, working with a natural history film crew, is more challenging.
I don't know why I'm being so meticulous and worrying about getting my camera set up just right, because invariably what happens is I'm the last one to be able to get access to the animals. I get down there, and I'm hovering above everybody, waiting for them to finish doing their filming, and waiting, and the water's all silted up. They finally finish what they're doing. They get out of the water. It's my turn to take pictures of the sea lions or whatever, and the water's all mucked up, so I've got to wait for it to settle down, and by then I look at my pressure gauge, I'm out of air. Got to come back to the boat anyways.
Despite the challenges, Michelle often finds herself in amazing situations where the photographic opportunities are remarkable. Being surrounded by nearly 100 reef sharks might seem dangerous, but it makes for great photographs. And the risk is really quite small. In situations like this, Michelle is never alone. Bob and Howard are always nearby, capturing the scene with their movie cameras. The photographs Michelle captures will be published in a companion book to the television series. A shipwreck 130 feet below the Atlantic. Here, Howard and Bob pursue a different species of shark. The shipwreck is the haunt of sand tigers. As Bob tends the light cables, he keeps an eye on Howard's back. The sharks are everywhere. The protruding, fang-like teeth give these sharks a malevolent look. But looks can be deceiving. Despite their frightening teeth, these sharks pose little threat to the divers. Bob even reaches out and gives one a gentle scratch on the back. Ironically, the schools of fish are also unafraid of the sharks. Instead, they gather tightly around the sand tigers as protection from amberjacks and other predators, a behavior Howard was anxious to photograph. It takes patience to capture behavior on film, but sometimes things take a surprising turn. Howard spent 4 days quietly approaching this loggerhead turtle before he discovered that it was entirely unafraid of him.
It really liked my light meter, and instead of being afraid of me, it came right over to the camera and tried to eat my light meter. And that was a real turn of events for us, because I realized I could go almost any place, and as long as I kind of flashed the camera in the direction of the turtle, he would come over toward me and he'd try to eat the light meter first, and we realized it was inedible again. He would forage in the area, and we were able to get great scenes of him feeding on some of the things that he eats.
But Howard is not always so lucky, and things don't always go as planned. Sometimes the camera fails at the most inopportune moment. Sometimes the animal does the unexpected. Sometimes things just go wrong. People are always asking me how difficult my job is, and they think, I must have to work such long hours, and we have to spend so much time underwater, and we must get so cold, and it must be so dangerous. But the truth of the matter is, this is the best job in the world. I have more fun than anybody else I know, and I wouldn't trade what I do for a living with anybody. It's unlikely that Howard will be changing jobs anytime soon. Underwater is where he belongs, and filming marine life is what he does best.
To learn more about secrets of the ocean realm, dive into PBS Online at the internet address on your screen. To order video cassettes and the companion book to Secrets of the Ocean Realm, call PBS Home Video at 1-800-828-4PBS.
Funding for Secrets of the Ocean Realm was made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and viewers like you.
This is PBS.